Guys, on this episode, we're working with the first dynamically adjustable cable air system. Hey guys, today I'm here with Brandon Kennington, the CEO and founder of the Flexline. Brandon, this is an amazing system that you started. How did you create this?
Well, you know, I owned Drenched Fitness here in Westlake Village for 5 years, and our belief was that we mixed cardio and strength training, and we really felt that strength training was an important aspect of fitness. But when you go into a group exercise environment, you lose all of the equipment that you typically use in a weight room. And, you know, it's a bummer because it's a great motivation to have group, but it just loses all the equipment you would find in a weight room. So, you know, you really are only limited to maybe dumbbells, we have bands, we have balls, we have BOSU balls, but I really felt like there was more that we could add to a strength training group class. And so this is where that idea kind of seeded itself, and it kind of took off from there.
You talked about how you're not only recreating a group class, but you needed something more for weights and the timing of doing these things. What made you think of the air system, and what made you imply all that?
Well,
So creative.
So there's actually a real problem with the timing and syncing of weight training with the equipment you have in a room. So I wanted to make sure that the machine we had kept the client at their location without having to go in between everybody to go get weights on the wall or a different piece of equipment, and make it so adjustable that they could literally stand with the machine in their hand, in this case handles with buttons, and push either plus or minus and keep going, so they never have to stop and adjust the weight. Even taking the time to change the pin in a stack of weight is time away from the group. So this is why it was really important to find something that could change dynamically, and that's why we use the term dynamic. It's that it's actually changeable during the set or even during the rep. For example, let's say I wanted to do a bench press. I might be able to get to 12 reps, but let's say I could do 14, but I'm scared to do 14 because I know that if I push myself that far, I may not be able to make it, and I would need a spotter to get me through those last 2 reps. With Flexline, because they're air and a cable, and more importantly, because I can actually adjust if I ever get into that uncertain spot where I feel like I need to maybe let a little off, I just do that with a push of a button. So the fear goes away, people are more engaged in the machine, they feel much more certain and comfortable using it, and they push themselves further than they would if they had traditional weights.
It is amazing. Now, we talked a lot about the Flexline and explain the handles. Can we explain the actual machine so we understand what we're talking about a little bit on this?
Great, yes.
Awesome. Show me the machine here.
So what we have here is the Flexline station. Now, this is one station, so all the handles, and there are 3 handles, and I'll get to the point or why we did that in a second, but all 3 handles work simultaneously together. So if I push a plus button on this handle and a minus button on this handle, it works together as a unison machine. So it's not one handle is different than the other. Let's see, I can start with pretty lightweight, and you can see it's just a traditional cable machine, but what makes it exciting is once I push that plus button, you hear that air open up, and it adds a lot of weight. So I can do 1 tap and just do 1 pound increments, or I can hold it down longer and get 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 pound increments. So it doesn't matter, it's very analog in that sense that I can just basically add or subtract weight. So for example, here I am, and I wanted to get warmed up, and so I'm just gonna use some movement here. One great thing about air is great because you can use power moves and be able to get a lot of power out of the air system that you wouldn't traditionally do with a stack of weight. So I said there was 3 handles. If I did triceps, if I took a cable machine and wanted to do triceps on that cable machine, I'd have to stop, take this off, maybe change out a tricep bar. You'd have all sorts of equipment laying around. Or in this case, we wanted it to be really quick because we're also wanting to keep our heart rate up, and this is a group exercise class, by the way. So we're able to go straight from triceps, into power moves. So we're doing multiple movements. And if I want to do biceps, I move that down. No need to get a bicep bar. We got biceps here. you want to do low rows, you got low rows here. So by having the angle of the handles close together on this side and having a wide angle from here allows us all sorts of movement patterns and variety. Let's just look at what we do typically now with cable machines. Do we see commonly people doing squats with cables? Yes and no. Yes, because we've all seen the machine with cables, and they come a lot of times with a squat bar. You'll notice though that they never really go heavy with it, and there's a reason why. The reason is it's impossible to get it up on over your shoulders when it's as big or as heavy as what your legs can do.
Right.
You know, our legs are a very big muscle, and when we want to do squats, to get the amount of weight, let's say 150 pounds, right? How am I going to get 150 pounds? How am I going to get under this bar?
Very
it's not going to. I wouldn't be able to get it up and over my head.
Right.
So when you do see people using it, it's very light. With this machine, I can start real light, put it on my shoulders, get into a nice position, and at this point, I can add weight. So now I'm adding weight.
Oh, wow.
And I'm adding weight. And now I can get up to 200 pounds of weight with this squat bar. And when I'm ready, I can let all the weight off and just lightly take it off and place it down. So it's a lot safer, and I'm able to do things that I was never able to do previously. Each system is connected to Wi-Fi, and we have a database that tracks your progress. So if you did have our phone app, you can track your strength progress. We also measure watts in power. We also measure work in kilojoules. And so for a performance athlete, that might be something that they'd like to keep track of.
How heavy can a handle go?
100 pounds per handle.
Per handle.
So if I'm doing a squat, I can get up to 200 pounds.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you don't need to do more than that usually.
Yeah, we do have a plus version that if, you know, for the big guys that want to go further than that,
Right.
it adds a extra size cylinder of 2.5-inch cylinder, and that gets you 150 pounds per handle.
That is amazing.
So 300 pounds total if you're using 2 handles.
Thank you so much, Brandon. You've been amazing on this one. And this has been another episode of Pump!